It's been 2 weeks since we've been able to do this, right? Took a break, and now I'm back. Put on some makeup. We're gonna talk about how to not burn out, and I'll give you an easy everyday clean beauty look today using just a few products. Without further ado, let's get this makeup going, and I'm gonna talk to you about my new favorite book and a potential new book club. Here we go. All right, so the face has been primed with moisturizer. I have been trying a lot of skincare products lately, and I'm going to share them with you because I have found some really solid winners. Those are coming up very, very soon. In the meantime, this is the book I'm talking about. Finally finished it. It's called Burnout: The Secret to Unlocking the Stress Cycle. It's written by two sisters, Emily Nagoski, who's a PhD and a best-selling New York Times author, and Amelia Nagoski, who is a DMA. I don't know what that means. Doctor of Musical Arts. Very good. I can go. I have bookmarked the crap out of this. I'm gonna put on some makeup like I mentioned, and I'm gonna read some of my favorite quotes to you. They're here to help end the all too familiar cycle of feeling overwhelmed and exhausted. Ladies, I feel like this is talking to us. It was certainly talking to me. And inside the book, right at the very beginning, this book is all about inspiring, empowering the reader to create positive change in their life and the lives of those they love. So I prepped a little bit with the Say Sun Visor, which I'm just using on repeat now. If you are familiar with this channel, then you already know that. I'm gonna do a combination of two of my absolute favorites. These are Britt's picks, okay? They just are. The Suntegrity Impeccable Skin. It's getting colder finally in Nashville. We had like 78 degrees yesterday, January 1st. Also tornado warnings. Not the best, but we're okay. And then I put a dot of the Juice Beauty Serum Foundation. You guys, if you haven't tried this, it's good, it's good. Especially for oilier skin types that you don't want something heavy. Also great for summer. Ugh, it's so good. So what I'll do here, I don't mix it in my palm. I found this method works a little bit better. Just kind of dab it on. Links to everything that I talk about, products, books, whatever else I get into, it's all gonna be in the description below. And then I just dab the juice on top of it. Has anybody out there seen Super Soul Sunday? Do you know what I'm thinking about? Oprah's Super Soul Sunday? I love setting aside time to think and have a cup of coffee or tea in the morning and just like listen to authors talk. I've loved it from the jump, and I have been wanting to kind of like do my own variation of that. This is the Milk Concealer. I'm gonna have a full review on it. Very promising. I'm just going to press this in with my fingers before I start talking about the book. I find concealer takes more brain power. Why? I don't know. Not only did I want to read this book because my friend recommended it to me, but also because I too was experiencing symptoms of burnout. I'm just going to read a couple of quotes here. In the very beginning, they talk about this thing called the stress cycle, which is in the subtitle. Just because you've dealt with the stressor doesn't mean you've dealt with the stress itself. You have a difficult job, you quit the job. The underlying long-term effects of that everyday stress, or what a lot of people call the toxic environment, Great Resignation is going on because of a lot of that. That is still inside. So another one of the books I want to read is The Body Tells the Score, or The Body Knows the Score, or something. Do you guys know which one I'm talking about? They're really, at this point, they're talking about, you know, our stress responses. They do the classic story of being chased by a lion and fight or flight. And when the lion is dead or killed, you're like, okay, I can calm down now. But they say that everything that's going on chemically inside your body does not just go away. So you need to release that. And they talk about how to release that, but before I get there, your body is stuck in the middle of the stress response. Just telling yourself you're safe now, calm down, doesn't help. Even seeing the dead lion isn't enough. You have to do something that signals to your body that you are safe, or else you'll stay in that state with neurochemicals and hormones degrading, but never shifting into relaxation. Of course, at that point, I was wondering, how do you complete the stress cycle? And one of the key ways that you do that is physical activity. So physical activity is the single most efficient strategy for completing the stress response cycle. I'll give you my own personal story here. I think I am just gonna set this a little bit under my eye. 14E setting powder. Forgot to put that out here. I was in a work situation when I lived in Dallas, and it became really unhealthy, not because of the people necessarily, but I just was very unhappy in that situation. I was subjecting myself to it. And so I finally figured out, okay, I did my work, I saved up, I actually started a business back then, and I was making money, and I left my corporate job, and I was like, yeah! I suspected that I would have the reaction that you get after running in your life, and then you stop, and then you automatically get a cold. Do you know what I mean? Just as soon as the body's given one chance to rest, it's like, okay, we're gonna need more than a minute here, lady. You're going down for the count with cold. I did not get a cold. I got some cool, fun other things. I received my first bout of vertigo. I had a friend walk me around Whole Foods, so that happened. Like my ankle started going out, that happened. Basically my whole body just went, ah! And the reason I loved what they said in this book about the stress cycle is because I could tell very clearly, sadly, that what was happening was the stressor was gone. And it was so deeply embedded in my cells. So deep in my brain. It was just a lot. At that point in time, I got even more into yoga. Yoga had the breathing and the stretching and the sweating, and so much of that was symbolically twisting out those kind of toxic emotions, the things that were still sitting in the body that I just couldn't get to when I was treading water. Do you know what I mean? I'm gonna put on some eyeliner. I can't do this on camera, it's just too much. So the book also dives into very early on what else you can do to release the stress cycle. They don't just leave you hanging, they don't take a long time to get to the point. They're giving you really solid chunks of concepts and then solutions in every chapter, which I really liked about reading this book. The next thing that I found to be inspiring was a chapter about rest. And it's actually what inspired me to take 2 weeks off from content creation and even like planning content creation. So yeah, I had a vacation from work. I didn't end up flying because of Omicron, but I still kept that time off, and it was very uncomfortable. The strategy that they talk about is called Hi Body, What Do You Need? And I started implementing this pretty quickly. They talk about this concept of being a human giver and how we are sort of conditioned as women, not to be gender normative here, but you know, a lot of females can be conditioned early on to be givers, give of themselves, and they always come last in the picture, you know? Like, you just, here, take my life, take my soul. They say, as a budding human giver, she learns, and this is really strong, she learns that her body isn't for her, it's for other people. Other people's pleasure, other people's desire, other people's acceptance or rejection. Many of us have grown into world-class ignorers of our own needs, just as we were taught to be. We don't even notice that we're ignoring our needs. Give me a like if you are relating to this at this point. Our bodies are sending us all kinds of signals, but we live from the neck up, only attending to the noise in our heads and shutting out the noise coming from the other 95% of our internal experience. Just sit with that for a second. Now I'm going to put on some eyeshadow from a women-owned small business brand called Prisma Palette. Found them on Instagram. I got 4 free colors from her. She's lovely. I've got my purples and I've got my neutrals, so I'm gonna go with this brown, chocolate brown color. And I started putting it into practice pretty quickly. A little bit of this purple color because I can't help myself. It's just too pretty. I was going. Way too many meetings. So I stepped away from the desk, I sat down, and I stopped, and I remember just being like, what do you want? I didn't ask what did I need, I was like, what do you want? Because in the past I've had a tough time with the phrase, I want. I don't know, that's another story altogether. And I said, okay, I just want to sit for 10 minutes, and I did. And something else that they talk about in the book, it's like I don't know if I think I might need to do a podcast because like how do you put this stuff on? Here's what they say, asking what do you need? Your body needs to breathe and to sleep. She needs food, she needs love. She dies without them. And there is nothing she has to do, no shape or size she has to be before she deserves food and love and sleep. She's still the astonishing creature she was on the day she was born, a source of joy for those who care about her. She's yours. Oh, I know, it's so good. They're not talking about body love. They're suggesting that you're patient with your body and your feelings about your body, you know, all that stuff. They talk about how rest doesn't also just have to be full vacation. That was the other thing I really liked. They talk about a study where we're only meant to focus on a specific number of tasks. This isn't in that chapter, but they did talk about this word productivity and like glorification of busy and productivity and how we're just burning ourselves out. And especially right now with COVID and all the rest of it. And they were saying how, you know, if you stop for a minute and take a short break and you work the short breaks in there, so you're not just going off the map for 2 weeks. You won't need that if you stop and you take a break. This is the theory. And you ask yourself, what do I need? And carve out 5 minutes in the middle of the day, a couple of times. It's almost like they say standing or sitting is the new smoking. And instead of just saying, well, I'm going to work out at this time of the day and do your big workout in one chunk, you have it interspersed throughout your day. So you're standing and then you're sitting. That is very different from carving out one dedicated hour. It's sort of more of a lifestyle shift, and it's really like a swap. It's really a lifestyle swap. It reminded me a lot of what I implemented, the stopping to ask myself how I feel, instead of just getting myself to the point where I'm so burnt out I need to take a 5-week vacation, which I couldn't do if I wanted to. So many of those things I noticed in my daily patterns because I journal, and it was just like swapping out clean products. It was just like swapping out clean products. Swapping out just mindlessly scrolling on social media, which I'm, you know, every now and then, it's okay, it's a dopamine hit. But I would swap that out with the new sort of, let's pause and reflect for a second, listen to the body. So the swaps really just keep continuing for me. It's just now not as much about what I put on, but more about what I do, what goes in my daily activities, words, conversations, what goes in, what goes on inside. And I kind of love that. We're gonna put some bronzer on, girl. It's just a cool book. It wasn't the life-changing book. It wasn't like, oh God, this has changed my life forever. It didn't feel like a giant wham bam epiphany across the forehead, but I've noticed myself leaning on the things that I've learned in this book in small little ways, like small little steps. Oh, here it is. Here's the quote. A growing body of research has established that we do our best at any given task for only a limited amount of time, energy, or attention. Then our performance drops off, our attention wanders, and our motivation evaporates. But resting after a depleting activity eliminates the effects of fatigue. So they talk about like just kind of getting those little mini breaks in there. Mental rest is not idleness. It is the time necessary for your brain to process the world. I think the same thing kind of applies to self-care. We think it's self-indulgent to rest. We've created an industry around self-care, which really has all of these self-indulgent things about it. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, relax, take a bubble bath, take the night off, you know? Like, oh, what an indulgence that you're giving yourself right now. Which really, when you think about it, kind of messed up. We shouldn't have to block out one day for that. We do it on Sundays. We mask on Sundays, and on Wednesdays we wear pink. Just kidding, mean girl. For the optics of it to be indulgent, to like sleep 8 hours, that in itself is quite telling. Don't you think about society? Like if that's indulgent, just rest or a bubble bath for those who like bubble baths. Yeah, there's just so much to chew on in this book. So much to chew on in this book. As a result, I have recommended it to people, like I mentioned. Some people can't read it all in one sitting. It's a little, you have to process. You have to take the time to process, like they said. But I read it in about 2 weeks, which is basically a record for me. And I was able to implement it quickly because it was simplified and broken down nicely. So would I keep recommending it to people? Yeah, I totally would. It's why I'm talking about it today. I'm putting on makeup. I don't know what that was. So while I didn't tell you how to stop burnout, I did hopefully give you some ideas that are from this book. Talk about ways to prevent it. I'm all about the prevention. So this is the full look. I will leave you with this. Most of us have spent our whole lives being taught to believe everyone else's opinions about our bodies rather than to believe what our own bodies are trying to tell us. There's an inner knowing that I think we all have. There's a level of intuition and we can tap into it, but I love how the book talks about, you know, there might be some things going on right now that your stress cycle might not be completed. So take a walk. Everyone says that, and it actually it works for me. If I don't walk, I'm loopy. Get that stuff out so you can start listening a little bit better and you can hear what the body's trying to tell you. The concept of giving yourself some rest, if you can, even if it's just 5 minutes, even if it's just petting your cat or dog, and understanding that that doesn't have to just be sequestered to a self-care Sunday. I love that. I love that about this book. That's why, yeah, I would keep recommending it. So I hope you enjoyed these quotes and getting ready. I don't know about this format. I just try stuff and see how it goes. But I'm reading these books and I can't stop talking about them, so I had to talk to my community over here and just share. Let me know what you think. If you would be interested in starting or being a part of a book club, I would probably not do them weekly, but you know, because I'm insane and I want to ramp it up. Book of the month, and we can talk about it. I think it would be kind of cool. And it would sort of be like a cleaner beauty book club. Some stuff would be on external, some stuff would be on internal. Mostly about the mind-body beauty connection. That's what I'm fascinated by. What stress does for our skin and what we can do to complement putting a foundation on, you know? I love the foundation, don't get me wrong, but what can we do underneath that? How can we listen to our bodies? Those are all the words that I have left to say right now. All right, thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy this one, don't forget to hit that like button. It's a little thing, it makes a big difference over here. And if you're not already subscribed, please take 2 seconds to subscribe to the channel. I put out new videos every week, and maybe there's gonna be some more book reviews. I will see you right back here real soon for some more makeup reviews and whatever else I come up with. Until then,